So UFC 290 is shaping up to be an absolutely fantastic card. Bo Nickal will be taking on Tresean Gore, and this rising prospect came onto the scene in Dana White's Contender Series and impressed the UFC faithful with his incredible wrestling ability and speed. Bo Nickal has yet to experience defeat inside the octagon and has walked through all of his opponents with 4 first-round finishes. At UFC 290, he looks to show us once again that he is a force to be reckoned with and a future UFC world champion. But his opponent, Tresean Gore, is looking to stop the hype train. Gore is another up-and-comer who impressed on the Ultimate Fighter with 3 wins. Now, he has struggled as of late to experience the same success, getting finished in the first round against Cody Brundage and a decision loss to Brian Battle. He bounced back lately against a win over Josh Fremd with a second-round finish via a guillotine choke, and he hopes to prove to the world at UFC 290 that he is here to stay. But can he stop one of the hottest prospects in UFC history? Now, I find within this contest, there is a lot of relatively unknowns, so we don't really know what's going to happen, but we can just base things on both of these guys' past performances and who they've faced so far, because they are both relatively new fighters to the UFC. They don't have a lot of experience, so we don't have a lot to go by, which is unfortunate. But with what we do know, we can make a pretty good conclusion with how I think this fight's going to go. Now, we're going to start with Bo Nickal here, who is an absolutely fantastic wrestler, one of the better wrestlers that we've seen inside the UFC as of late, right up there with the likes of Khamzat Chimaev, who is also looking to be competing within the middleweight division. So maybe sometime later on in the track, we can actually see these two compete against one another, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. The difference with Bo Nickal is he isn't as developed or experienced as the likes of Khamzat Chimaev. And his last fight, although he did dominate, he did show that he had some holes in his game, that he is very wrestling heavy, and he completely relies on that. You know, he hasn't really faced a fantastic striker as of yet. So that's something that could really get him into trouble later on down the track. So I think he does need to develop his striking a little bit. But in regards to this contest, I think Bo Nickal is set to absolutely dominate Tresean Gore. I mean, something that I've already noticed within Bo Nickal's career is he's extremely aggressive, and this serves him well. Obviously, being very young and powerful, wrestling is an absolutely fantastic base. Wrestling is one of those bases that just makes you extremely tough. I mean, if you look at any wrestler within the UFC, they're all tough. They're as tough as nails. With a sport as brutal on your body as wrestling is, it's one of the better bases for mixed martial arts. Now, when you consider that every opponent Bo Nickal has faced is absolutely dominated, and he even has 1 first-round knockout as well, I find it hard to see how Tresean Gore is actually going to win this contest. Now, with Tresean Gore, he hasn't had a great run as of late, as we all know, but he has bounced back lately, so hopefully he is able to find some success within the UFC, but I just haven't been as impressed with him as I have with someone like Bo Nickal. I mean, when you look at the UFC and past future stars of the organization and fighters that have really made their stamp within the organization, they don't have as bad a record as what Tresean Gore has this early in his career. Okay, so I think it's going to be very tough for him to get over Bo Nickal here. I don't think he has the wrestling pedigree to stop Bo Nickal doing what he absolutely wants to him here, getting him on the ground and pounding his face in. Even though Bo Nickal's submission game isn't that strong, his wrestling is just so dominant that he's able to get these submissions. So he's more a wrestling heavy grappler than an actual submission artist. Now, the last submission that he got against Pickett in his last contest, it wasn't the best arm triangle you'll ever see. You know, it took him a while to actually get it done, but he was wiggling around and he got there in the end. So he's not one of the best submission artists, but his wrestling serves him so well that he clearly does have that ability to finish his opponents with submissions. But I do think it's going to be a tough night for Tresean Gore, unfortunately. What do you guys think about this contest? Do you guys rate Tresean Gore having a chance in this one at all? I don't. I think it's another case of the UFC feeding Bo Nickal lower level opponents to build him up because they do recognize that he's a future star and they're not ready to be giving him some of the top level competitors just yet. And I think it is a wise decision because he does have so much potential and you don't want to crush the hype train before it even really starts. Let him develop 1 or 2 more fights before significantly upping this competition on him. So I think it's a very good move for now, but I'm going for another first round finish for Bo Nickal. I just fail to see a way Tresean Gore can win this contest, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, as we know, at UFC 290, there's other fantastic fights, and Alexander Volkanovski will be facing Yair Rodriguez in the main event of that card. And if you want to check out my prediction for that fight, feel free to check that out in the description below, or you can just click this up here. That's fine as well. Now, I do know a lot of you guys train mixed martial arts, and some of you are looking to get into mixed martial arts as well. So that's why I made this free ebook called Combat Training Essentials, the Art of Nutrition and Injury Prevention. Now, guys, if you're in MMA, or you're looking to get into MMA, it's not a sport that's going to be very kind to your body, okay? And as you age, the injuries will just pile up and pile up. So you need a system in place that's going to allow you to actually be on the mat for as long as possible. You need the right diet, you need the right sleep, you need the right stretching routine and conditioning program that's going to actually enable you to spend as much time in the mats as you possibly can. We're not talking about making you a professional athlete here. That's not what I'm saying. But if you do want to train in the sport that you love for as long as possible, in your 50s and in your 60s, you need to get this book. I've laid out some great stretching programs for you guys, how to structure your workouts and get the most out of your training with preventing injuries. Guys, you don't want to spend any time off the mat. Injuries can and do happen within mixed martial arts, and you want to prevent that as much as possible. So feel free to check that out in the description below. I believe you guys will get a lot out of this. So feel free to check it out and let me know what you guys think. And if you do like this sort of content, please feel free to hit subscribe, but only if you are interested in the latest MMA news. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone, and I'll catch you all later.